I was about to marry the woman who healed my grief until I discovered she was a con artist targeting men like me.
I never thought I'd share this story, but keeping it buried just doesn't make sense anymore. This is how I almost married the wrong woman, and what happened when I finally discovered who she truly was. My name is Tom Brenner, a 55-year-old retired military officer. After losing my wife, Margaret, to cancer 7 years ago, I settled into a quiet life on Sullivan's Island. It was peaceful but painfully empty. Then, one night at a veterans gala, I met Elis Moore. She was warm, confident, and so kind. She made me feel young again, like the heavy cloak of grief was finally lifting. For 18 months, I truly believed fate had given me a second chance. When she agreed to marry me, I felt reborn. Looking back, though, the signs were all there. Elis loved expensive things but never paid for a single meal. There was always an excuse, a missing wallet, a card with issues. When she moved in with almost no belongings, I didn't question it. When she insisted on redecorating my home, replacing all the furniture and erasing every trace of Margaret, I thought she just wanted to make the house feel like ours. But it was never about ours, it was about her control. 3 days before our wedding, the truth finally came out. I'd just had the final fitting for my wedding suit and went for a drink with a couple of old army buddies. One of them mentioned his wife had overheard Elis asking around about my finances. That comment stuck in my mind like a splinter. Later that night, I decided to surprise Elis with flowers at her mother's house. As I approached the kitchen window, I heard voices. What I heard next shattered my entire world. Elis wasn't nervous about the wedding. She was calculating. She called me a decent mark. She talked about my house, my pension, my life insurance. She bragged about convincing me that prenups were unromantic. She even mentioned a man named Richard and how once she married me, she'd have access to everything. She talked about quick divorces, deeds, wills, and even made a chilling comment about how accidents pay more on life insurance. I left without a word. Instead, I called my sister Diana and told her everything. She was furious, but also worried. I told her I couldn't just quietly cancel the wedding and let Elis find another victim. I had to expose her. The next morning, while Elis was at her dress fitting, I went to her mother's house. In a small locked box, I found everything. Documents showing massive debt, letters from collection agencies, and a notebook detailing her strategy for conning wealthy men. She'd listed other victims, including a man named Richard Langston, marked as her partner. I also found a business card for a special investigator. I called her. Investigator Amanda Reeves confirmed my worst fears. Elis's real name was Elizabeth Moretti, and she was wanted in multiple states for fraud. She had a history of marrying wealthy widowers, then stripping them of everything. Reeves admitted they could never gather enough evidence because most victims were too embarrassed to come forward. I wasn't embarrassed. I was angry. Reeves gave me a professional recorder. Then I called Richard. He denied everything at first, but when I mentioned Elis's plan to cut him out, he agreed to show up at the wedding. On our wedding day, I wore my military uniform, not the suit. I wanted to stand at that altar as the man I truly am, not the man she thought she could manipulate. The church was full. Elis walked down the aisle, smiling like the world was hers. When the pastor asked for my vows, I turned to our guests. I told them I had something important to share, and I pulled out the recorder. Elis panicked, grabbing my arm, her smile cracking. I pressed play. The entire church heard her confession calling me her perfect mark, mocking my honor, planning to take everything. Gasps filled the sanctuary. Elis tried to claim it was fake, but then Richard entered the church. The color drained from her face as he admitted everything. Just then, Investigator Reeves stepped forward, badge in hand, and announced that Elizabeth Moretti was being detained. Police escorted her out in handcuffs. I apologized to the congregation, but many stood and applauded. Not for the drama, but out of respect. In the following weeks, Elis was sentenced to 12 years. Her mother got probation, and Richard received a reduced sentence for cooperating. Life settled back into its quiet rhythm. People ask if I regret handling it so publicly, but I don't. Sometimes the truth needs witnesses. Elis wanted to take everything from me, my money, my home, my dignity. Instead, she lost everything, and I remained standing. on rebuilding, healing, and slowly opening myself up to happiness again. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's living your life fully, honestly, and without the weight of someone who tried to break you. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe for more.